The family of a local teenager says she never would have left home without calling.
Just praying for the best. I want my daughter home, man. And if she can't come home, I just want to know where she's at.
These posters around the towns of Livermore and Jay beg anyone with information to come forward. Posters that Richard puts up every spring, never losing hope.
Tell me what happened to my daughter. Just let me in the arms so I can see her.
An arrest in a nearly 4-decade-old cold case thanks to cutting-edge DNA technology. The arrest happening exactly 39 years to the day
when Parabon Nanolabs used that sample to create 3D models of the suspected killer's face.
It's heartbreaking. We miss her, and we're going to find her. We're going to keep looking till we do.
It's like a never-ending nightmare. It doesn't end. It keeps returning and coming back.
On the evening of January 9th, 2020, 20-year-old Kaylene Oehling met with her ex-boyfriend, 45-year-old Mike Manno, to retrieve her grandmother's jewelry. At 1:36 a.m. on January 10th, 2020, Kaylene's mother received a text from Kaylene stating she would be home in the morning, and that is the last anyone has heard or seen from Kaylene. What happened to Kaylene Oehling? Tonight, we're joined by her father, Jason Oehling, who has made it his mission to find justice for his daughter and become an advocate for all missing person cases. So tonight I'm joined by Jason Oehling. He is the father of Kaylene Oehling, who disappeared January 10th, 2020 from Etna, Pennsylvania. Kaylene is described as 5'1" and 110 pounds. She was 20 years old at the time of her disappearance. Is that correct, Jason?
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining me tonight. And obviously, it's a difficult subject to talk about for you, I'm sure. I'm a father myself. I've got a 25-year-old, a soon-to-be 21-year-old, and a 9-year-old. So I can't imagine going through the pain and the loss that you've been going through over the last 2 years.
I tell you what, this last 2 years really changed actually all of us in the family. Myself, my children, my wife, my ex and her family and everything. It's living hell is what it really is.
Now, would you take a moment just to describe Kaylene and what kind of daughter and sister she was?
Yes. Kaylene, she was always loving, always protective of her younger siblings. Growing up, she was very outspoken. Kaylene was more like a tomboy. She worked on cars and stuff with me. She wasn't too good in school. Books just was not her thing. But she was always a caring, loving person. She was a junior firefighter at my old department. She went to CCD, we're Roman Catholic. She helped out with the bingos and helped out setting up for CCDs after the bingos and everything. And she really loved her younger siblings and always watched them every chance she could get. Kaylene did drop out of school, but she was in the middle of working on getting her GED, and she did take a pregnancy test and did tell us that she was pregnant, but unfortunately we never got a chance to find out for sure by the doctor, because unfortunately Kaylene went missing prior to that. She lived back and forth to my place and her mom's. I live in New Wilmington, Pennsylvania. A lot of people don't know where that is. That's up near Newcastle. And my ex, Tiffany, she lived in Etna. That's actually where Kaylene went missing. Kaylene didn't drive. She didn't have a car. Kaylene, she also, prior to Kaylene disappearing, she was on food stamps. But throughout that summer before she went missing, Kaylene was going to be moving full time into mine and my wife's place because she wanted to get her GED and go back to like a trade school
Right.
or something. 'Cause like I said, she really wasn't into books. But growing up, she was just a caring, fun loving person. And like I said, unfortunately, until she got up to high school, not unfortunately, but she was a tomboy up until like high school, and then she turned into, of course, teenage girl
That
and
that tends to
everything.
happen, right?
Yeah, and where Kaylee and Haley, they lived with me a lot of their life and everything. We lived at the time in Westier Township. That's but 20 minutes, 25 minutes north of Pittsburgh. Um, and that's where I was volunteer firefighter. That's where I started being a volunteer firefighter. Where Kaylene was, I was a vice president of the men's club at my Roman Catholic church. And oh no, Kaylene was just, I mean, Kaylene, she could always lighten up a room with her style and everything else.
Yeah, she's a pretty girl. Um, Describe the night that she went missing, January 10th. Is that, I know you suspect it was after midnight, right? So is that January 10th the date, like after midnight
Yes.
on the
So
9th?
while January 9th leading into the 10th, Kaylene was at her friend's house down the street from her mother's. Um, she was meeting up with her ex-boyfriend, Michael Manno, to get some of her belongings. And unfortunately, she was working around his time to be able to meet up with her since she didn't have a car and everything. So approximately, I guess, 12:30, 1 a.m. on January 10th, Kaylene was meeting up with Michael Manno down the street in Lower Etna, where it has been confirmed by the police. They both met up down in Lower Etna. Both of their phones pinged at the same time, at the same pole. He even admitted to the police on being with Kaylene at that time. And it was around 1:36. Kaylene's phone texted her mother saying that she was going to be back in the morning at 9:30 to watch her younger siblings. And the next morning, Kaylene, she didn't go to her mom's. Her mom called me about 9:45 because she had to work and everything. And we just knew that something was wrong right then and
Yeah.
there because Kayleen's not the type to miss out on her
I
siblings.
was gonna ask you that. What was your initial reaction when you get the phone call from your ex-wife? Um, hey, Kaylene didn't come home this morning to watch the kids. Was she
First,
panicked at all?
yeah, we both actually were because, especially with Kaylene hanging out with Michael Manno to begin with, because I found out about him in November of 2019. And of course, I had a few words to say to him. And of course, he called Penn Hills police on me and everything. And to stay out of handcuffs, I wasn't allowed to contact him anymore. I wasn't allowed to go anywhere near him. Um,
Well, and what was
now,
it about him that you didn't care for?
well, the first thing that caught my attention, of course, is whenever I was told his age. I mean, he's older than me and everything
Wow.
else. And I was told that he has a criminal history. Now, at that time in November, whenever I got his actual name and everything else, I called a sheriff friend of mine and had him do a background for me and everything on him. And whenever I seen his background, and not just his charges, but his convictions of just in the state of Pennsylvania, not including all the other states, it held a very sour taste in my mouth. So,
Are you able to tell us what those convictions were for?
yes, not he's been convicted of statutory rape, a lot of burglary and thefts, arson, attempted homicide, stolen gun possessions as a felon, not even allowed to have a firearms in the state of Pennsylvania. Um, a lot of also petty crimes. And at the time, he was on probation and he was also out on bail on other charges.
Unbelievable. I mean, as a father, I can only imagine my reaction. My daughter said, "Hey, I've got this guy. He's how old was he at the time? Like 45 or 47, something like that."
5 at the time.
45.
Because he's 47 now.
Yeah, so he's my age.
Either 46 or 47. But yes, he was 45 at the time.
Unbelievable.
And as soon as I just start hearing a lot about him, I really did not want that to be a relationship at all.
As a father, I completely understand. Now, what did she say about him? How did they meet? Do you know?
I was told that she met through her ex-boyfriend. I can't think of his name at the moment, but it was through her ex-boyfriend. He was friends with Mike Manno and his name was Nathan. I don't really know his last name, but I do know it was Nathan, and they met through him, and just, I guess they did like side jobs and everything for contracting, handyman work.
Right.
It's how they ended up knowing him.
Got it. All right, so that night, the January 9th, she'd gone over to his house to pick up some things that she had left there. I believe it was stuff that her grandmother had given her, jewelry and stuff.
And she didn't go to his house. She actually met him down the street from her mother's house. And it was jewelry that my mother passed away in 2012. It's jewelry that Kaylene inherited off the family and everything else. So it was like very sentimental to Kaylene, jewelry and everything. Of course, still to this day, it makes me sick that Kaylene went by herself and didn't at least tell me what was going on. Because, of course, I would have never let her have gone, especially in the middle of the night.
Right. And they had broken up at this point, right? She had broken up with him?
Yes, they broken up in actually December. They only dated for like a month or 2 months. Because he has an older daughter, but at the time he had Mike Jr. And as of now, since last April, he has another child to Sherry. So at the time, his live-in girlfriend was pregnant.
So,
but
do you believe
according to Kaylene, they broken up, which we found out they never have.
Wow. So, do you believe Kaylene's child, if she was pregnant, was Mike's?
Yes. She did make a statement, and it's on black and white through Messenger, and her telling him and another friend that she was also going to tell Sherry, which is his 2 kids' mother, that she was pregnant and everything. That, and then also about an hour 45 minutes prior to Kaylene's disappearance, she also put social media that Manno robbed an ATM in Penn Hills.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yes. So, and of course, my eyes as a parent, and I have criminal history background. To me, there's two hard motives right there. And then also, Sherry, his girlfriend, of course, they've been questioned by the police numerous times. And the last time, I'm going to say probably about, I'm guesstimating on this, but 4 months ago, one of the last times that Sherry was interviewed, she did state to the police that Manno did say to her on the afternoon of January 10th that Manno stated to her that they did not have to worry about Kaylene bothering them ever again.
Wow.
According to the police, the reason why they didn't charge him as of then is because he didn't flat out say he killed Kaylene.
Right. It's a little loophole.
Correct.
So I had read that at one point she told people she had been locked in the garage at his place.
Yes. Now, I think it was the end of October, beginning of November of 2019, Manno padlocked her into his garage, and Kaylene did tell the police that also at the time and everything. And what concerns me is, and it's supposedly was padlocked from the outside, and what concerns me is I found out on one of the first warrants from the original police station, they never even searched the garage during, because they were told by Sherry on the premises, because Manno was in jail at the time, they were told by Sherry that they had a mean dog inside and she didn't want to open the doors.
Right, so why bother looking in there? Has it been searched since?
The garage, yes. Allegheny County homicide detectives, to my knowledge, have searched the garage, Manno's camp, and other premises that he's been known to go. One of the main places where Allegheny County has gotten multiple warrants for is there is an abandoned cement factory in Penn Hills where they focused 5 to 6 warrants at different times for search on the property and everything else, which that is within minutes from Manno's house. There was remains found in October in Penn Hills. It was stated to the police that the remains are not Kaylene. The only thing I can say on that is the remains are not identified as we speak at the moment to public knowledge.
She was expected home that morning. She didn't return home. You get the call. Your ex-wife, she said you had to go to work. So did you instantly drive down there?
No, we did something stupid because we didn't have knowledge of missing persons cases at the time. We waited 48 hours. We were originally told, because Kaylene's age, the age of 20, that we had to wait for 48 hours. Now I am actually I'm retired now. I'm a volunteer missing persons advocate for across United States, and I do want to emphasize there is no such thing as having to wait.
Right.
As soon as your loved one is missing, call the authorities. If they even try to tell you that no, you have to wait, insist on talking to a chief. If it's a local, go to a state department then, because by law in the United States, you do not have to wait 48 hours.
Exactly. And so many people have heard that over the years, between TV shows and whatnot, and they just think they have to wait. But if you push, they'll actually open up the report earlier. So thank you for calling that out. And thank you I know we're going to get into that a little bit later, but just everything you've done with the missing persons in the U.S. and how you're trying to get not only your daughter's name out there, but you've also are working on several other cases. But I'm going to go back to your daughter's case real quick. Did you go visit Mike Manno?
No. No. At the time, my Kaylene's mother, Tiffany, was still on speaking terms with him and had called him a couple of times. And he, at the time, was stating to her that Kaylene was fine. He stated that Kaylene didn't want to talk to any of us, that she wanted to start a new life, which we all knew that was inaccurate. We kept pushing the issue and everything else. A while after that, my ex-in-laws and some of their friends would start protesting up at the house and everything. See, the other problem was Kaylene's case was, and this was out of the mouth of the district attorney, Stephen Sapala. This is out of the mouth of his own detective on black and white through an email through me, that Etna did not put Kaylene in the computer system, that she was missing until March 13th, which was 2 months after we reported her missing.
That happens all the time, Jason. It's ridiculous.
Yes. Now, and then, unfortunately, Kaylene's case was not transferred to county until 6 months later. As much as I kept arguing with the mayor in Etna, with the township manager in Etna, and everything else, we were just getting nowhere. I got, at the time, one of our elected U.S. congressmen involved to try to get the transfer. And unfortunately, according to Allegheny and according to state police and according to FBI, they can't just take the case off the department. The department has to hand it over or ask for help. In the meantime, I found out a lot of, I guess, terminology nowadays is shady stuff about the police department. As much as one of the main suspect's best friends is really good friends with the chief of police in Etna. I have all that in black and white. I even have the evidence that they're all linked and friends with each other on Facebook, on social media.
I wish I could say that's a shock, because it's not. It happens up here too.
Yeah, exactly. And I found out, like, with whenever there's parades down in Sharpsburg, the chief of police down there and everything else, and the township people would have Manno in the parade. I mean, I'm not law enforcement, but why would you want to be associated with somebody that has his type of conviction record?
And And talk about his convictions, because from my understanding, he didn't spend a lot of time in jail, right, for pretty severe things.
Yeah, and that's the other thing that confuses a lot of people. I think the longest he's ever stayed in jail was few years. Because a lot of people are wondering, of course, they're speculating and saying, oh, is he an informant? Because somebody with all these type of convictions, how does he keep walking and getting probation?
And yeah, something's not right. And then be put in parades. I mean,
Yeah, correct.
so he just said that she took off. She didn't want to be bothered. That was his only story, huh?
Correct. And his story is he dropped her off later that morning to a friend named Marcus from Lawrenceville. Of course, this is a friend that he doesn't even have a last name. He just said Marcus from Lawrenceville. But of course, further investigation that Allegheny has done, there is no Marcus from Lawrenceville. But Manno, up until he was arrested, I'm pretty sure it was April 29th on separate charges. Up until then, I'm sorry, I forget where I was headed with that one.
That's all right.
Oh, up until then, he stated that Kaylene's still alive and calls him private, which I call BS because everybody even knows there's a reward being offered. And why would he not, if they were broken up and everything else, why wouldn't, and he knew that there is a reward, why wouldn't he just want to have $25,000?
Right.
You know, by the way, here's where Kaylene is.
So you had said he was sorry, you said he was picked up in April for separate charges. Is that anything you can talk about? I know there's some legal issues going on with you involving that.
Talk about is what is basically already public out there. Manno was picked up on charges of sending my other daughter, which was a minor at the time, explicit pictures of him and Kaylene. Prior to sending them to my other daughter, he sent them to me. So,
did he put a message along with these images, or he just sent the images?
yeah, it was messages also, because it was actually back and forth stuff of arguing with him. And like whenever he sent them to me, he tried getting me to snap, which he did a pretty good job of it.
You did a hell of a job not to. I mean, I could not put myself in your shoes, I gotta tell you.
I ended up getting Facebook jail, which who cares about that? 2 people told me where he was, and I'm admitting I went to go look for him at the time. I'm admitting.
I don't blame you.
I didn't hide the fact that I went to look for him, because I even took pictures and posted it, because I didn't care. I'm a desperate father now.
What a sick bastard, though, to do that.
Yeah.
Not only is he the prime suspect, but sorry.
And like I said, and I went to the police about it, and unfortunately, since I'm not a minor, there wasn't anything they could do about it. So, but he really messed up whenever he sent it to my other daughter.
Now, how long after she went missing did this happen?
February, so about a year and a month.
Wow.
Year and a month is whenever he sent them to me. He sent them to me on February 2nd of 2021. So it was a year and a month. And Haley, it was about a month after he sent them to me. Roughly. I'm not sure. Since there's multiple different witnesses for this hearing coming up. Uh, yeah, a lot of people say, "Oh, she's my daughter," so we talk. Actually, we don't talk about the case because we don't want any type of mistrial. So I don't know the exact days that the pictures were sent to Haley and vice versa and everything else. Because, like I said, with me also being a witness, it's not that we're going to be playing dumb. We don't know. We don't talk to each other about it and everything else and what have you. Because our main focus on everything is getting Kaylene the justice that she deserves.
Absolutely. Now, I'm sure you've heard rumors over the last 2 years of things that may have happened to her. What are some things that you've heard?
I'm going to tell you the two main rumors, and I'm going to say these are actually rumors from officials. I'm not going to say elected officials. I'm not going to say police or what have you, but I will tell you that it is believed that Kaylene is either in the Allegheny County River or in a wooded area in Penn Hills, which would also be including at the cement factory. There's other rumors, of course. He had a camper in one of the townships where supposedly after he got questioned, he burned it down. There's also been, I mean, this is not rumor, this is fact. He does have campers that he does travel a lot. But I will say that with the time frame and for where we all know where his phone pinged at 1:36 to where we know, and it's not public, where it pinged afterwards. We know the vicinity and everything else. Which also he used to do a lot of night fishing in the Allegheny County River. But like I said, in October, like mid-October, there were remains found, and it was on the news and everything else. For Kaylene's 2-year vigil, the news did say that it is believed not to be Kaylene's remains and everything else. But the remains are not identified.
So, have you done any searches on your own? And I know you started training some dogs too, right?
Yes, I have 4 dogs. 2 of them, one's already trained for air scent for Kaylene. I've been training another one of my dogs for also Kaylene and for tracking. I wanted to train all 4, but Baby Joker and Angel Marie, they're not going to be any type of tracking dogs. I do go on a lot of searches. I do go through social media. You can see I go from state to state. Not only do I put up also flyers of Kaylene in different states, I also help out other families while I'm at it. I've been in the process myself, and one of my best friends, he's actually Amish. We've been training. I got a horse, and my legs, I got neuropathy real bad. So my legs have been getting worse and worse. So I'm actually training the horse to be a riding horse and everything else. And all of this is not just going to be for Kaylene. It's also going to be to helping others with missing loved ones.
That's awesome.
And that's what I've been building myself in. Haley, my other daughter, she's an advocate with me. She's also going now to college, getting straight A's for forensic science. Um, and yes, unfortunately, on what happened to Kaylene inspired her to do forensic science because she wants to help others. Um, but on off season, my wife, she of course helps me, and we go all the time and what have you. But it's around that time she's always up at the farm though, and everything for plants and stuff. But in the meantime, I do go on a lot of searches. Uh, I will say that my dog and we did find some stuff in the fall time, late fall, beginning of winter. We did find some things and everything else. I'm because it's evidence, I'm not going to say it's Kaylene's or not Kaylene's. But there are also other missing persons in Allegheny County, and which there is Amy. She's been missing actually a week after Kaylene's from Braddock, and but those two cases have nothing with each other. They're not tied. A lot of people think, oh wow, a week apart, two females, everything else. They definitely are not connected in any way. But there were some things that myself and my dog did find that police were able to put into evidence.
And as terrible of a tragedy as this is that happened to Kaylene and your family, it's almost like giving her life meaning, what you've been able to do and become an advocate for the missing, and now your other daughter as well, going into forensics. Like, think of how many lives you guys are going to change.
I do it also to keep my mind busy. Just like my one psychiatrist says, there's no cure for what I'm going through. And I do a lot of that. And on my off time, I do crafts and stuff to try to keep my mind busy. I rescue animals and everything. People don't know me. I have 4 dogs, 3 cats, a duck, 2 sheep, and a horse. I rescue animals also and everything. And I always, of course, look at Kaylene's picture and I blame her. I said, because it keeps my mind busy. And like whenever I start thinking and everything else, I find something else to just keep my mind always occupied.
Mm-hmm. Some people at the beginning of the disappearance kind of questioned you, right? And what was your response to that?
Yeah, and actually, one of them actually is a missing persons group. We Can Bring You Hope. The administrator from that group, Michelle Bender, she insisted I had something to do with Kaylene's disappearance. So I called up Allegheny County Homicide Detective Sergeant Dolphy, and I said, set me up for a lie detector. I left a message for him, and then we played phone tag. He sent me another message. He said, you're not a suspect. What's going on? Why are you asking for one? So I finally got back to him and I told him the situation. I said, because I'm getting sick of people going ahead blaming parents, this, that, what have you, especially in my situation. Somebody that I depended on be there for me. And so February 23rd of 2021, I took Polygraph. Allegheny County Police came up here, got me, and everything. I spent the day with them and everything. I got 3 polygraphs. It's all the same time, but they ask you the same 6 questions all 3 times. But they like change the questions up in order.
Mhm.
They do it, and one of the questions really disturbed me whenever I went home. They didn't ask if I knew where Kaylene is. One of the questions is, do I know where Kaylene's body is? And it kind of course, disturbed me, especially being asked that question, especially on a missing persons case. Because you want to have hope, which I'm admit myself, Kaylene's mother, my wife, and my daughter, I do want to admit that we, of course, know more about what's going on at the moment than anybody. Um, there's, it looks like I go public with a lot of stuff, but actually, there's a lot of things that I haven't gone publicly yet. Um, and I know parents would understand why, especially whenever you want justice for your child
Mhm.
and everything else. We hold right now knowledge that news nobody has, and we have to sit on it for right now and everything else. Um, which I will be honest, it's so hard,
Mhm.
especially being a parent. It's so hard. Um, I even just, I think yesterday made a post. I said that it's especially for me being quiet and not, because I don't sugarcoat nothing. I tell it how it is. I've personally called Manno a murderer. Um, I tell other people don't until, of course, charged and convicted. But I say, of course, me as a parent, I got nothing to lose, so I could care less.
He's
You
already
know,
taken everything.
but yeah, I do. Like I said, in the next months now, there will be a lot of things going viral publicly about this case that we've been sitting on for a while. Um, we don't even tell other family members. Like my sister don't even know. Um, uh, as far as I'm aware of, my ex's family doesn't even know, and everything else. A lot of people suspect, but they don't know what we know, but they suspect things. Um, and mostly what people suspect, I can't say is accurate and it's right. Um, but like I said, so there's no mistrials. We keep a lot of things to ourselves.
Right. Yeah, I don't blame you at all. It's got to be killing you inside.
And yes, I have polarized that. I did not say a mistrial. So I will say there's just stuff that's going to be coming up that we've been sitting on knowledge.
One more quick thing I want to talk to you about is you have a TikTok page for Kaylene, right?
Yes, and a lot of people been okay. My other daughter, Haley, that is the closest also to Kaylene. She knows everything that I was doing and the reason why I'm doing it.
Mm-hmm.
One day I woke up and I said, every time I look on social media, I see funny memes and people share funny stuff where you beg people to share missing flyers and you hardly see them circulate. So I woke up one morning and said, because I seen like TikTok videos and what's it called, Instagram videos come across Facebook, and I made a TikTok page. And since then, yes, I do at times funny, stupid videos. But the reason why I do is because, like, one of the videos has over 1 million shares. And I'm only new to TikTok for 3 months now. And one of the videos, just one, I have about 75 videos, if not more. Just one of the videos has over 1 million shares. That's the reason why I do what I do.
Yeah, so basically you're willing to almost make a joke of yourself to try to get your daughter's story out there, and like within the videos you have talk about her, right? Or around like the border, we'll say, missing Kaylene.
Each video I always have I have a picture of Kaylene. I have my main website I have a flyer of Kaylene. Like some people would say in some of the videos, oh, we can't see the writing on it and everything else. And that's one of the points, because what they can see is what I want them to see, and that's Kaylene's page. Because since I've had that, I've gotten also over 1,000 more followers on Kaylene's actual page.
Nice.
And I have a country singer on Facebook, Elena, that helps me spread the voice of Kaylene.
And you broke up when you were saying that. Who's the country singer?
Sorry to hear you. Her name's Elena. She's out of, I believe so, it's Tennessee. And I'm friends with her on Facebook. And I went to her over a year ago because I make multiple flyers of Kaylene a day to keep my mind occupied. And I am actually an advocate of 7 cases. So I do flyers all the time. And I went to her one day and I asked her in a message, I said, can I please use one of your pictures? Not of her personally, but of scenery outside her window. And she said, yeah, and still to this day, now I'm friends with her husband, and I help also spread the voice for her because she's a young star upcoming and everything else. And I feel as though that I need to help also her because she's helping me. On TikTok, I have a comedian that helps me out that has over, I think, 300,000 followers.
Wow.
He helps me out. So the reason why I do a lot of this stuff is to be a voice for Kaylene.
Well, I think what you're doing is extremely admirable.
I'm never going to slow down, and I'm not going to stop being who I am, no matter all the criticism I take at times.
You're fighting for justice for Kaylene, and I can't imagine how proud of you she is.
I'll never stop. I am sick, medically and everything else. About 2 months ago, I sat down with my wife and we sat down with my 2 older daughters and everything else. And I don't care. And I don't want people ever feeling sorry for me because I look at it as I'm getting closer to being with Kaylene. Of course, I do always hold on, and still to this day, hold 1% of hope, and that some things are wrong and everything else. But as long as I'm breathing, I won't stop or slow down.
Yep. You're inspiration, sir. And I appreciate you joining us tonight.
I appreciate you having me so I could be a voice for Kaylene and other missing persons. And please, not just Kaylene, everybody just share for missing persons, their families. One of my main cases besides Kaylene is Devontae Morgan out of California, and I'm very close to his family now. He was actually my first case I advocate from, and his mom and I even have pages together now to help others for support, everything else, because we're parents living the nightmare, and we want others to know that there is help. There are people, unfortunately, going through what you're going through.
Yeah. What's the name of the Facebook page that you created for Kaylene?
Kaylene's main Facebook page is Missing Kaylene Oehling 2020. It is www.facebook.com/Missing Kaylene 2020 or hashtag Missing Kaylene 2020. My main page that is in honor of Kaylene is Help for the Missing. That's national. And of course, that was inspired by my missing daughter. But not only do I share continuously people's cases, I'm working on myself, and I have a team of about 13 other advocates across America. Megan, Star, Jen, Shane, Christina, and we consider ourselves basically a team. I don't know if you ever saw like the TV show Scorpion, but even though we have our own groups, but I have a messenger group with all of us and everything else, where
idea.
And of course Terry, Devontae's mom and everything, and Karina. I can just go on with the support that I have, and we don't just, of course, talk about the missing. We're just now family. We're not even just good friends. We're family, and we're there to help each other. Most of them were advocating a lot longer than I have. So they have taken me under their wing, where I have, in the last few months, taken 2 other people, besides also Haley, under my wing and everything else, and Terry, Devontae's mom, and everything. And we just like how Shane always says, power in numbers.
Yeah.
That's how the strength is going to come.
Absolutely. Jason, thank you so much for joining us. And, again, just what you're doing in honor of your daughter is amazing. And you're helping so many different families. I can only hope and pray that Kaylene comes home safe to you and you find out the truth and where she is.
Thank you very much.
All right.
I said, I'm in the next few months, a lot of things are going to be coming out about this case, and just everybody stay tuned. And Actually, I don't know if you're going to air this part, but I told you in the beginning, this is actually going to end up being my last podcast that I can actually do for a little while. It's my own decision because I don't want to say anything stupid on 2 hearings that are coming up right around the corner. So for Kaylene's sake, I don't want there to be any type of mistrials.
Right. Absolutely understand. I'm sure, the public also understands. So, Jason, you have a good night. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You also. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. To follow along for updates on Kaylene's story, please visit www.facebook.com/missingkaylene2020. If you have a tip or know something important, please contact the Allegheny County Homicide Unit at 412-473-3000. Please continue to share her story and her picture. And as always, thank you for listening.
For 5-year-old Taylor Williams led investigators to Alabama this week.
So we have some breaking news from Florida. An arrest has been made in connection.
After years of agony, a glimmer of hope for the family.
Investigators spent hours searching through this house off Pennsylvania Avenue.
What could be a major development in the search for missing Alabama teenager.
Tonight, a stunning twist in the search for Taylor.
Somebody out there knows something.
They want to lay him to rest their way, not by somebody else's way.